Hi everyone, it's Mariah from the Club Scrapped Artist team, and I'm here today to share with you how I put together my Cantina Lite assembly line layouts for the month of July. So I first started out with layouts 1 and 2 and picked out my pictures that I wanted to put on this double page layout. So I have some older pictures of myself when I was growing up, and they all have a theme of different outfits I had worn throughout the years. So for the left-hand side layout, I have two portrait-oriented pictures, and then I have this small picture of myself that I decided to cut out in a circle shape and layer on top of the paper umbrella that was part of the assembly line directions. So I used my Creative Memories circle cutter just to cut that shape out, and I've layered that on the paper umbrella over on the left there. I'm just going to mat this photo directly on the photo mat. It fits the 4x6 picture perfectly, and just adhere that circle picture there on the paper umbrella. When I was cutting out the circle, I noticed that on the back of the photo, my mom had written a little phrase there and the year. So I cut out her comments there, and I'm going to use that as part of the journaling or as an embellishment on the side there. So it's nice to have my mom's handwriting in my album from way back when she originally wrote it. Now for this other portrait picture, it's a little bit smaller. I think it's about 3x5, so it doesn't quite fit on the photo mat there as it's sized for a 4x6 picture. So I'm just going to add some additional paper to that. So I pulled this dark teal paper from the deluxe kit, and I really like the silver flower that was part of the pattern on the paper. So I just cut that down to 4x6 to mat on that larger photo mat and then put the picture directly on there. So I'm going to bring my right hand side layout along and pick out the pictures and where I want to place them. So there's 3 pictures that I want to scrapbook on this side, and I'm going to end up covering this cute little journal box with a photo on one side, but later I'm going to add in some other spaces for journaling. So I'm just trimming this picture down to fit on that journaling box, and you may have seen me use a square grid ruler from Club Scrap. It's a really handy tool to figure out how big your photos can be to fit on a journaling spot or a photo mat, and you can use it to place directly over your photo and see exactly where you want to cut to make sure that it fits in the right size. So now with this main picture here, a landscape photo of myself, it's a little bit small again for that photo mat. I think it's about a 3x5 picture, so I wanted to add something to this photo mat to make it a little more filled in instead of directly matting that picture directly onto that blue photo mat there. So I have some silver ribbon. This is from a previous kit. It's from Constellations, I believe, from earlier this year, and so I'm just making little flags by cutting a fishtail into the adhesive ribbon and then putting that on underneath the photo. So I've just layered 2 staggered pieces of ribbon here so the ends aren't quite even, and then I'll just add that photo directly above that. I like the silver as well because it kind of brought in the silver from the teal photo mat and that silver flower on the other side, so bringing that silver from both pages and bringing them together. So now I have this other photo that I don't have another photo mat based on the assembly line directions, but I'm going to add one here underneath the photo that I had put on the journaling tab there. So I'm cutting this down to match the width of that photo, but I'm also using some more of that dark teal pattern paper from the deluxe kit, and I really liked on the right side there the silver stripes, so I'm making sure that's part of my photo mat. And so I've cut that down so you can still see the silver stripes, and then added that picture down at the bottom there. So now I'm going to incorporate my mom's handwriting onto that journal tab that says memo there on the left hand side. I'm first going to add some more of that silver ribbon. So I have 3 areas of the silver. So that will be at the memo, the flower there on the photo mat, and the flags I had made behind the photo on the right hand side of the layout. So I'm just adding that little bit of silver there, again with the notched edge. And then I'm trimming down my mom's note that was on the back of the photo to fit on that space as well. So I'm just trimming that down, and so it'll fit directly onto that silver piece of ribbon there. So once I have that adhered, I'm going to start thinking about what I want to do for a title and what I want to add as far as embellishment goes. So what I really like about the assembly line directions is that you have, for the Lite kit that I get and I put together for assembly lines each month, so you get 8 complete layouts that you can leave as is, and they're perfectly fine. You can add some journaling and some titles, but they don't really need any extra embellishments. However, if you're like me and you have a lot of embellishments to use up, I like to add them in, and I enjoy finding what I have in my stash that goes along with the theme of the kit or with the colors. So I pulled out some thickers and some letter stickers, and what I'm doing right now is actually covering up the sentiment that's on that border strip right there. It didn't really go with the theme of my pictures, so what I did is grabbed, and sorry for my head being in the way, I grabbed a dark teal piece of ribbon from the deluxe kit, and I'm just adhering it directly over that border strip, and then making sure it's stable and adhere to the back using just some washi tape I had on hand. So I've covered up that sentiment, but added some embellishment to that strip as well. So now I'm looking through my thickers and deciding what my title is going to be. And I ended up with Fashion is My Passion. But what I'm actually going to be doing right now is that I decided I want another circular element up in that corner, because on this left-hand side I have the circle picture on top of the circular umbrella, and then the bottle cap at the bottom there. So I wanted to have 3 elements that were circular on this side. So I've picked out a brad, and I think I had tried out a tin pin to see if that would work as well, and some other circular items, but I ending up with that circular blue brad there. So I wanted to add a little bit more paper embellishment there. So I looked through the stamps that came with the deluxe kit, and I pulled out these banner flag stamps. And I'm going to take the largest one and stamp it on an orange piece of paper and end up adhering it there. And you can see me playing around with some other circular elements. Those are the small ones are brads from the deluxe kit. They're really cute button brads, but they turned out to be too small for what I was wanting in that corner. So I end up using the blue brad from my stash. So you can see here I'm stamping that largest flag onto orange paper, and I originally used neon orange ink, and it didn't quite show up as brightly as I wanted to, so I ended up using fuchsia ink from Club Scrap, and I always use the hybrid inks from Club Scrap. They cover the rubber stamps really well, and I love the colors that they come in. So with that fuchsia ink on that orange paper, I've cut out that banner flag, and then I'm adhering that circular brad to that, and then I kind of play around with how I'm going to position that flag there. I had it horizontally, and I end up turning around vertically. I like that much better. It kind of brings your eye down towards the picture. So now I'm going to be working on my title. Again, it's Fashion is My Passion, and I decided that I wanted to use 2 different fonts there. I wanted to use a larger, thicker font, and then a smaller tile font in orange. So the tile font, that's from Basic Gray, and so it's pretty small, but it goes really well by taking some of that orange elements that are in the rest of the layout, and then matching it with the pink thickers that I'm going to be using. And then these pink thickers are foam glitter thickers, and they're from Dear Lizzy and American Crafts. And trying to see what the font is. It doesn't say. Oh, it's Fancy. So it's Fancy and pink. I really like these. It's a cute, whimsical, cursive font, and I love the glitter on it, and it goes really well with the theme of the pictures with that glitter. So I'm just adhering that. I always, if I'm, aligning it to one side, I make sure that I'm going from backwards from the end of the word, so I'm not running out of room if I had spelled it out the normal way. And then on my right hand side here, I'm just adding in the year that that picture was taken in the same glitter letters there as well. So now I'm looking to put in a space for journaling. So I cut this journaling box from the cut aparts as part of the embellishment pack, and I'm going to put that underneath that picture there and layer it underneath both of those. I was playing around the position, and I didn't want to leave a gap in between the right hand side of that journaling box and then that last picture there. So I'm going to make sure that it's underneath all of those pictures there in layers. So I'm just adding my journaling. I tend to handwrite most of my journaling. Sometimes I think I'm the only one that can read it, but I like to have my own handwriting in my albums. So I'm just adding that in there, and have a little bit of difficulty getting this underneath all the layers. So I always, when I put together my assembly lines, I usually put them together without any pictures in mind. And so then it's, it's a little bit of a struggle sometimes if I want to add some stuff under layers, but I end up making it work. So now I'm looking for some additional embellishments to add in that middle area in between those two pictures on the right hand side. And I end up pulling out these Heidi Swap word stickers. So just adding in the word fabulous right there underneath that picture. And it kind of carries between one picture to the next. So I like layering stuff on top of pictures as long as it's not covering up any of the subjects. I know I'm struggling to figure out that there's something's missing, and I've decided that I need one more circular element on the right hand side. Since I have three and one on the left hand side, I want another one on this right hand side. So I first try punching out a circle with the orange paper, and I kind of want it in that middle area, but that isn't quite working with just that piece of paper. So I went to my stash and I found these bottle caps that were from an earlier Club Scrap kit, which I think was Bold Blooms. But these are just regular bottle caps. They're colored, but they aren't flattened. So I took out my Big Shot and just ran it through between the two plates. I was able to flatten that really easily. So I'm kind of deciding that's where I want it to end up. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to decorate it. The orange circle I had punched out didn't work, so I ended up not using that orange circle. Then I decide I want to use one of the stamps that I had stamped on the other circular embellishments. And so I'm just stamping that directly onto the metal with the fuchsia ink. And all I'm going to do is heat set it with my heat gun so that I make sure it doesn't smear. So it just takes a few seconds, but since it's metal, it is going to be hot, so I'm just going to let it cool there for a minute. And that's where it's going to end up. And since it's a little bit of a dimensional embellishment, I'm going to put some foam squares underneath it to pop it up. And there's my finished layout. I'll have pictures on my blog with some detail shots as well, so if you want to look at this more closely, you certainly can. All right, on to layouts 3 and 4. So these are actually pictures of my trip to New Zealand. I've been working on this album for over 2 years now, but I am almost done, and I just love that these pictures of the ocean and being outdoors went really well with this kit. I love the contrast of the orange and the yellow against the bright blue of my pictures. So this kit isn't just for parties or for summer pictures. They work for pretty much anything. So on this left-hand side, I really liked those 4 small photo mats there. So I'm just going to fill them up with pictures. So the first 2, I ended up just using a single picture, but I cut it down the middle and it spread out across those 2 photo mats. And then I just cut down pictures of myself and my boyfriend for the remaining 2 spots there. So part of the assembly line directions, I had adhered those ribbon flags with staples onto those photo mats, and so since I'm adding in the pictures now, I just ended up having to take out the staples and restaple that on. But I prefer to follow the directions completely because I'm not sure when I'm going to be scrapping with that particular kit. It might be that month or it might be a year down the line, so I want to make sure I have everything adhered according to the directions, as that helps me make sure that everything's appropriately embellished. And so here on the right hand side, it was actually pretty simple. I have one portrait and one landscape photo that fit perfectly on those photo mats, and so I didn't have to do any trimming for those. This ends up being a fairly simple layout on both sides, not too much embellishment, but I do want to add some additional items on here on the right hand side. So I'm just looking through my stash right now. I was possibly going to be using that binder clip, but I did notice that the border strips at the bottom, I really like the triangles and reminded me of arrows, so I decided that I was going to have kind of an arrow theme in my embellishments. So I pulled out a brad from the Simple Stories Urban Traveler collection. It's just a tiny little arrow there on the left, and that's going to go on my journaling spot. And now I'm looking to see what my title is going to be. Originally, I was going to cover up that holy guacamole, although I love it. I wasn't sure it quite went with my pictures, but then I decided that I'm going to make sure that it's incorporated to my title. So I am using some more thickers for my title, and these are the Boardwalk chipboard letter thickers. And I really like this font. It's kind of summery, and it goes with this kind of beachy theme that I have for these particular pictures. So then my title is going to be Holy Guacamole, What of You? And so I just love how the pre-printed cut aparts from Club Scrap, you might not think that they always go with your pictures, but it ends up a lot of times that they work really, really well. So that's just always a happy surprise when that happens. So here I'm just playing around with that binder clip and potentially adding in that wood veneer arrow there. I end up moving it a lot around, trying to find exactly where it's going to end up, and it's going to end up right there on top of the title. So I tried adhering it with my ATG gun. That didn't quite work, so I end up using glossy accents. I just had that on hand. I'm going to adhere that there. With those tiny pieces, it's easier to use some sort of liquid adhesive to keep them on the page. So now I've just added on that brad there onto my journaling spot. And then I am just going to finish up my embellishments here. Or actually, I'm going to be journaling. So I just did a quick little note there where we were and what we were looking at with that pretty amazing view on the North Island of New Zealand. So now I'm just finishing up my some of my embellishments. So one of my themes in my New Zealand album is that each page has a roller date stamp with the date. And so I found one of my roller date stamps that has an arrow on the date stamp. So I've incorporated that. So I have 3 little arrows on my layout here. And again, this will be on my blog. So if you want to look at that more closely later, you certainly can. All right, on to layouts 5 and 6. So again, I'm using some pictures from my childhood, and I've kind of grouped these. They're all from different years, but the theme is swimming or summer. So I have these 2 square photos that I'm going to put, again, apologies for my head there, at the top. And I end up tearing off the original photo mats there because they were a little too small for my square photos there. And I didn't want to cut into those photos to make them smaller. So I am just going to cut 2 larger pieces of that pink cardstock and recreate the photo mats there just in a larger size. So one of my square photos already had rounded corners. That's how it looked like it was originally printed. So I'm just rounding the corners of my other photo and the photo mats just to keep them consistent. So I'm going to relayer those, overlap them a little bit just to make sure that I'm not covering up any important items on the pictures. I'm just fixing my ATG gun there. And then I'm just going to put 2 more pictures on there. One will go on the photo mats there. I don't think I do any trimming on that. And another, I'll be trimming down and covering up the cutter part of the drinks. Didn't quite go with the theme. I was a little bit underage at 1 or 2 years old there to have any drinks. So I'll be covering up that cutter part with and use it as a photo mat for that photo there. So again, I'm using my square grid ruler to measure out where I want to cut that picture so it fits on that photo mat perfectly. And then I'm looking to see if I want to add a little bit more to this photo mat here. So I took 2 border strips that were part of the cut-aparts from the embellishment pack for the deluxe kit. I'm going to trim that down and add it to the sides of the photo mat here. I really like the bright colors of this kind of ombre border strip there, and then when I end up putting these on the sides there, I really like the effect because it kind of looks like the photo is now on a film strip. So that was kind of a pleasant surprise, and I really liked how that ended up turning out. Onto the right hand side, so I have a few pictures here. I'm just going to keep the cut apart embellishment on the right there and the journaling card as is. I'm going to add in a couple square photos onto that lower photo mat there. So again, I'm getting some of the pattern paper from the deluxe kit. I really love this aqua paper with the triangle pattern. And so I'm going to just mat one of those photos just to have it stand out a little bit more because I'll be layering it on top of the other photo there. And just want to make sure that they don't blend in together. So again, I'm going to be rounding the corners of that particular photo to match the other ones, and then just adhering that first one directly onto the photo mat and then staggering that one so it's layered on that photo mat. So it's not quite on the photo mat completely, but I end up liking the staggered look for that. Now there is a little bit of dead space there that I want to be filling with something, some sort of embellishment. So I took this cut apart from the cut apart sheet saying feeling hot, hot, hot. Thought that was perfect for a swimming photo. And I just cut off that phrase so I can use the sun image in another layout, and that's going to be just above my my picture there. So now I'm just trying to figure out what kind of stamps I want to add to that photo mat. I use the index sheets to see which ones I have ready, and I decide on this wonky polka dot. And what I'm doing, I'm just stamping again with the fuchsia hybrid ink, and I'm putting that just directly onto that photo mat there. So since it's going to be mostly covered, I'm not really being super careful. I'm not going to be filling in the middle because that won't be seen. And so I'm just getting a little bit border around there so there's a little bit of interest to that photo mat now. So now I can put that picture on directly and I don't have to add any more additional embellishments to that. And I'm satisfied with the way that it looks there. So now I'm seeing if I can fit in these enamel shapes from the deluxe kit, and so I just got some tone-on-tone effect there by using the orange enamel shapes just to fill in that remaining space on that photo mat. So now it looks like it's time for me to decide on a title. I think I'm looking through my thickers here. Actually, I'm first doing my journaling. Again, that's always important. And Club Scrap has such nice journaling spots that they include with the kits, and there's always room on your layouts to record some of your memories. So I love that there's space for that, and so you are prompted to actually get your thoughts down on paper. So now it's time for the title. So I end up using 2 different fonts here. This first one is an aqua cursive glitter font again, and this is Lullaby from Thickers, and I really like this one. It's a little bit bigger, the font, so it's nice to stand out, and it goes really well with kind of a blocky font as a contrast. So I end up using another set of stickers to contrast with that kind of flowing cursive glittery font there. So I was originally going to do it all in one font, but it turns out the letters are a little bit too big to fit into that space, and my titles just keep swimming. So it didn't quite fit in that space, so I pulled out these Heidi Swap mistable stickers here. So they come in as white, and then there's the letters that are on the stickers in a resist. So you'll just spray these with mist, and then you can wipe off with the against the resist area and reveal the letters. So that was just my little index sheet of all of my mists. So I'm just trying to find out what might be the best color to go with my project here. So this mist here turned out to be a little bit too red. So I used a test letter there, Z, and decided that wasn't quite the right color. So I'm going to go back into my misting drawer and get another color there. And I end up getting, I think this is Pink Lemonade, and I forgot who made this. Memories Mist perhaps, but and end up just spraying that there. I really like the color much better this time, and I'm just going to use my towel here just to remove the excess mist to reveal the resist letters there. And again, just quickly heat set it so I can quickly adhere it to my project. I'm just getting those up from my adhesive mat there, just wiping that off, and we'll end up cleaning that well later. So now I have my pink contrasting letters there, so I can complete my title. And I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I think I am. I'm moving the swimming part of my title together more closely and a little bit down. I like to have my titles kind of rest on the photo or the photo mat. I don't like having them right above it because it seems like they're floating. So now that this place, or the bottom part of my title actually has some place to sit, and so it's comfortable there. And so now I'm just adjusting the top part of my title. I might have to move some letters around to have the pink letters sit underneath the taller parts of that bottom part of the title there. And then I just ended up using those parentheses from the thicker sheets to keep everything together. So I really like that combination of the pink letters and the teal letters there. All right, on to the last two layouts. So this is layout 7 and 8, and what I end up doing is that I make two separate layouts. So the left-hand side and the right-hand side do not go together in my album. They're going to be separated. So the other great thing about these assembly line layouts is that they don't have to go together. If you just like one of them and you want to do a one-page layout, it works out perfectly. So this is an example of how I turned a two-page layout into two one-page layouts. So again, this is for my New Zealand album, just documenting a few things that we've found around town, our change that was left on the very last day we're there, the number of the house where we stayed in Auckland. So this is a pretty simple layout, not too much embellishments that I've added in, but it's just, simple lines with the vertical flower there on the left-hand side. Just everything's pretty linear, so I really end up liking this layout, and not much needs to be added in addition to the assembly line instructions. I do add a little bit into that upper right-hand corner. Again, I have two round elements there, and I want to add a third just to kind of create a visual triangle there. So I've pulled out this 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper from the deluxe kit. I really like those suns, so I'm going to use that in combination with these pins that are from, I think they're from Basic Gray, perhaps. So I'm going to use the tin pin there with the embellishment that I'm going to make from that paper. So I did again, along with my theme for the entire album, put in the date with the roller stamp on that pre-populated date journal card there. And now here I'm just deciding which one of these suns and which one of these buttons I want to use on the embellishment. So I pick one out, and I take out, my Creative Memory circle cutter, just so I can cut out that that particular sun that I want on the layout. So this is just an example of a pretty old tool that I'm still using. It still works, and it's really handy when you want to cut out a shape from the middle of paper or for your photos. So there's my embellishment. I'm going to end up inking the edge of it with ocean ink, just to soften those edges a little bit, and then I'll put that button in the middle there and adhere it, and that side of the layout is done. On to this last one. So here I have 3 photos. I do like both of those photos. They're pretty similar, but it just really showed. I think those were taken at about 2 a.m. on a Saturday after we had gone out exploring the nightlife in Auckland. So I wanted to make sure I included both of those. So again, I'm going to just cut out the relevant part of this photo of the skyline of Auckland from our apartment, and using that circle cutter, and again just layering that on top of the paper umbrella that was part of the assembly lines there. So the photo mats are pre-cut so that they fit 4x6 photos perfectly, so I didn't have to do any trimming there. And then again, just adding that circular photo there onto that paper umbrella. Choosing which roller date stamp I want to be using for this particular for this layout. Just adding the right date, and again just using the ocean ink to add that onto that journaling card right there. So here I'm just writing down what I remember from that night. I remember that drinks in Auckland were very expensive, but the music was great, and we ended up rocking out to Taylor Swift in a dance club, which was great at 2 a.m. in the morning. But here I'm just trying to find out see what else I can add with regard to embellishments, just looking through those word stickers again and seeing if any of those enamel shapes would work with this particular layout. And I decided that I didn't want any of those that quite worked with that layout. But I decided I did want to add in the stamp from Club Scrap for this kit. It's the 3 drinks in a row. 2 of them were only going to fit into the space that I had, and it's a pretty dark background with that dark teal. And sorry for the shakiness of the camera, but I'm adding in some white pigment ink on 2 of those glasses, and then I'm going to just stamp that into that space right there with white pigment ink. So it almost worked perfectly. I really like the white on the teal, and it's not completely covered, so you can see some of the teal coming through the images, but I didn't get entirely of that wine glass, so I'm just taking the stencil from the kit and kind of filling in areas that I didn't quite cover based on the stamp. So now I have that complete glass right there. And so I just need one more little section of embellishment in the upper left-hand corner that was looking a little bare. So I'm just going to make a little grouping of flags or banners. So I took a little bit of one of the ribbons that came in the embellishment kit. So again, I'm just making a notched flag there. I'm going to do the same with that yellow and orange cut apart. It was a border strip from the cut aparts, but I'm just ending up using the part of it that doesn't have any words on it as a flag. And then I'm using a small little strip there from that blue pattern paper, just to add some contrast and color in that section. So I'm just staggering the lengths of that, of all 3 flags so that they're not all the same. I'm just adding that there and cutting off the excess at the top there. And I have my little embellishment. So here again is the left-hand side, and again this is going to be a single page layout in my album, and then I have the right side as well. So again, all of this will be on my blog in detail, so please stop by, and thank you for taking the time to review my video today. Have a great scrappy week.